Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. This is the Ibfp Q&A, and let's just dig into the questions. The first question comes from Adon Murrell. He's had many questions. Now, basically, just to summarize one of them. Now, he basically asks, Jermall Charlo, and he's asking that, if Jermall Charlo should face Canelo, why are we not pushing for that fight? And I've never said Jermall Charlo doesn't deserve to have a shot eventually. I don't think that he should deserve a shot when he says so. He deserves a shot when Canelo says so. And the reason why I say that is he's not the actual mandatory for Saul Canelo Alvarez. The mandatory for Canelo Alvarez is no one. You have to realize that Jermall Charlo has to fight Triple G for that mandatory spot, and that's what's been ordered by the WBC. Canelo Alvarez didn't make that mandatory. The WBC set that. So you have to check them if you have any problems with that. And aside from that, why Canelo wouldn't pick Jermall Charlo right away, in my opinion, is there's two factors. One, Jermall Charlo's not a huge name fighter. He's never headlined a pay-per-view or even a boxing card in his life, period. And the second reason why he wouldn't fight Jermall Charlo is he's not a full-fledged world title champion at 160 pounds. What's the upside? If Canelo stops Jermall Charlo, people will just say it was another easy fight for Canelo Alvarez. And these guys aren't easy. Canelo just makes them look easy. But that's a great question, Don Morel. The next question comes from Warlord. Now, Warlord states, when and if Canelo beats Charlo and Jacobs, what will people say? Is he still a bum? Now, that's a great question, Warlord. Now, if you look at it, the people, all this fake bias media, this fake bias new media comes out and states that, Canelo's not this great. He needs to fight Charlo. He needs to fight Jacobs. All these guys, no matter who Saul Canelo Alvarez beats, these guys will continue to push a false narrative to downgrade Saul Canelo Alvarez because their narrative is not for Canelo Alvarez. It's for these other fighters, such as pretty much anyone that fights on the PBC. It appears that most of these guys fanboy for PBC fighters only. And so we're going to be 100% honest and unbiased about these guys. And we don't believe that any of these guys can beat Canelo Alvarez. But that's a great question. The next question is from Joshua Flores. Dante wants Canelo to lose so bad it's getting pathetic. You're absolutely right. Dante's biased nation would love for Saul Canelo Alvarez to lose, but yet he supported him when it came to Triple G. You have to understand that the bias in these narratives goes based on who they hate more. So they hated Triple G when he was getting all these accolades. So now that Canelo Alvarez hasn't, they don't like him. They don't like a guy that's not with the PBC getting all the shine. That's a great question. The next question is from Mikey Garcia. Boxing Nuke, who's your favorite boxer and why? Now, me personally, Mikey Garcia, I actually don't have a favorite boxer. I just have favorite fighters I like to watch fight. And some of the favorite fighters I like to watch fight, are guys like, Noya Inui. You have those type of guys. I'd love to watch Canelo Alvarez fight. I love to watch Mikey Garcia. I love to watch Anthony Joshua, Anthony Sims Jr., Teofimo Lopez. I love to watch all kinds of fighters fight. I like to watch Katie Taylor fight. So you have to understand that there's many fighters that I really enjoy watching fighting because I'm a fan of boxing as a whole. I love everybody. I love every fighter on every card. I don't have a bias against any fighters. I like everyone and I like to see them fight, even if they have weird or contrasting styles. If it's the sweet science or knockout, I like it all. So that's a very good question. I appreciate that, Marcus. The next question is from Slick Dude. Hey, Nuke, much love. My question is, do you think DAZN is going to be successful? In my opinion, they need more content. The content is great, but they need more of it and more boxers. What do you think of the future of DAZN will be? That's a great question, Slick Dude. We appreciate the love, and I'll be 100% honest with you. I think DAZN is going to be very successful. I think it's the new wave of boxing. I think it's the way boxing will be going forward. And the reason I say that it is because DAZN is setting up to be the Netflix of boxing for the U.S., and I think that pretty much everywhere else will carry that trend. You have to think about it like this. I believe that DAZN has already launched in Italy, and aside from that, DAZN has actually only been around for 3-4 months max. And so basically, you've already got the two biggest stars in the world in Saul Canelo Alvarez and Anthony Joshua. So you have the two biggest stars, one in America, one in Europe. And combined, these two guys are the two biggest stars. Everyone's constantly talking about him. DAZN is going to be successful. It's just acquiring more and more fighters, and that takes time. You can't expect to be at the top of the mountain in 5 months. 4 or 5 months. That's just a very quick and rapid pace. But the fact that they've already gotten Canelo, they've already have every world champion at middleweight, the fact that they already have Anthony Joshua, the fact that they have these guys is a true sign of what to expect from DAZN. These guys are very aggressive in pursuing top level talent. Sometimes you get them, sometimes not, but these guys are getting the top fighters, even if it takes a little bit longer. I'll say let's review DAZN after a year, and then we can look back and see on who they've signed and how they're doing. Great question. The next question is from Ek Coop. Call out of all the new media bias channels. I'm waiting on that video to drop. At Coop, I will tell you that video is coming. But just like with any video like that, because it's so specific, we want to make sure that we have all our facts straight. We want to make sure that we have everything we need before we go at these guys. And a lot of guys will say, this and that, but if it's what the people want, we'll give you what you want. Great question. The next question is from Junior Moreno. What can the boxing fan nation do to force the best fights to happen? What the boxing fans can do to force the best fights to happen is basically, that's a very good question. The only thing that I can say in regards to that is stop buying pay-per-view fights of fighters when they're not fighting the best, but also support the fighters when they are fighting the best. Come out in record numbers. Show overwhelmingly support. Tune in live. Go to the events. Buy tickets. Because, if you look at a guy like Terrence Crawford, he sells out events in Omaha. But when he did his first pay-per-view, no one really bought it. I think it had less than 100,000 sales, if I'm correct. Don't quote me on that, but I know it was not staggering number. It did poor commercially. So when you have a guy like that, if he's not supported, then guys like Errol Spence Jr., pretty much everyone on PBC side will not want to face him, because there's no upside in that regard, because they feel like, well, the money that I would make from him wouldn't be so much more that'll make me want to take that risk. These guys, to want to fight the best, they're going to want to get paid ridiculous amounts of money, and the only way to do that and to really get these guys in the ring is put that pressure on them. And we have to support the best fighters when they do come out and fight. That's a very good question. Now the next question is from Angel Figueroa. Who will win today if Canelo versus Mayweather II was tonight? The Canelo that's in his prime right now versus the one who whooped Lil G ass versus Floyd Mayweather Jr., who beat Steel Green Saul Canelo Alvarez? That's a great question. I say Canelo Alvarez wins that fight easy. I think Floyd Mayweather Jr. It's just not going to be big enough to take those shots from Canelo. Canelo is stopping guys at 168 pounds. There's nothing Floyd Mayweather can do with Canelo Alvarez at 154 pounds. I think Canelo stops him easy at that point. The next question comes from Jimmy, IBFP. What do you think of the haters talking about Canelo's hand wrap? I'm in New York City and didn't know that the hand wrap style was not legal. Before we go any further, Jimmy, I know where you're going with this, and I'll just get right into it. There was a little bit of a controversy with Canelo and the hand wraps, and so basically what happened is he just got his hand rewrapped. The New York State Athletic Commission signed off, and so did his opponent, Rocky Fielding, and we're all good to go. There's no controversy. There's no one saying he did anything illegal or cheating, because he just had his hands rewrapped. It was very that simple. A lot of these guys are it's just tactics that they do against every fighter. But since he's Canelo and he's the star of the sport right now, he's the face of boxing, every little thing that happens, these guys want to point out, because all these same things happen to other big names of boxing. It's just the way the sport is. Great question. The next question is from D. Jefferson. I think the whole Floyd Mayweather attack is nothing more than history repeating itself on Canelo. The roles have reversed, and many fans of Canelo weren't generally fans of Floyd. Floyd was the man who did what he wanted. Now Canelo is the man, so I think he should be able to do what he wants. Your thoughts on that? It's a great question, D. And you're always one to challenge, but that's a very, very good question. I think that since Canelo is the A side, since he is the face of boxing, he can pick whoever he wants to be his opponent. He typically goes after belts and big paydays, so that's what you want from the A side in the face of boxing. Every fight Canelo is in, it's basically just growing the sport, so that's a great thing. The next question comes from Earns619. Alvarez versus Kovalev. Break it down. Can Crusher weather the storm? And if Canelo don't fight another middleweight, with super middleweight, you think he's going to pick on? I'm thinking it could be a Callum Smith. I think that'll be an excellent fight. I rate Callum Smith very highly. I would love to see that matchup. I think Canelo has a very good chance of winning that fight, but it won't be easy. I think it could be a close fight, a 50-50 fight, and a lot of people won't give him credit for it. But I think it'll be a very difficult fight, but I can see Canelo, competing at that level because he's that strong, he has that skill, and he's a very elite fighter. As far as Kovalev versus Leader Alvarez, I think that's a very good fight as well. I think Sergey Kovalev wins that fight if he comes in shape. I think he gassed out way too fast. I think he's had poor training camps, and that was shown in his fight with Andre Ward, the second fight, and the first fight with Leader Alvarez. So I think that for Kovalev to win, he has to come in tremendous shape. He has to have a whole new camp, and he has to be ready. As far as Alvarez, all he has to do is wear out Kovalev to the body. It should slow him down, try to gas him, and you could probably stop him again. Great question. The next question is from Ricardo Lopez. Thoughts on Charlo versus Matt Korbarov? I think it's a better fight than Monroe. In your opinion, what's the purpose of weight divisions? Well, let's go through first one. Charlo versus Matt Korbarov. I think that's an interesting fight. But since the fact that Matt Korbarov doesn't have a signature win, and has already been stopped, I think that pretty much tells us about Matt Korbarov. I think Matt Korbarov is a decent guy and probably a little more interesting to watch than Willie Monroe, especially after seeing Willie Monroe get beat down. But Willie Monroe would make Jermall Charlo work for it. I don't know if Matt Korbarov will. I don't know if Matt Korbarov will walk right into those big shots and he won't put up much of a fight. I could be wrong, but that's just my take on it right now. I think it's just another bum bash. Also, the purpose of weight divisions is basically to keep guys safe, make sure guys don't get hurt. But when you have a transcendent star like a Mikey Garcia, weight divisions don't mean as much because you have a guy that has special skills and talents that can transcend divisions. And I believe that's the same with Canelo Alvarez. Also, pound for pound list. Why do only some fighters dare to move up weight divisions when some others don't want to leave their comfort zone? And I'll never really blame a guy for the most part for not wanting to move up if he's like at his max weight. A lot of people are saying Vasyl Lomachenko doesn't want to, can't move up to 140 pounds. Honestly, I believe he can, and I believe he can compete and be successful and win a world title at 140 pounds. I think he just doesn't want to give up that advantage. You have to understand that Mikey Garcia moving up to 147 pounds is giving up a size advantage to pretty much anyone he fights. So Vasyl Lomachenko is not willing to do that at 140 pounds, and now we know why. It's because he had a hard time with a Jose Pedraza. So if he had a hard time with Jose Pedraza, imagine everyone else at 140 pounds that would give him hell just on sheer size alone. If he's the most skilled boxer, if he's the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, like Ring Magazine and all these biased magazines have him, then let's see if he can really do it. Have him move up to 140 pounds and let's see what he can really do. That's a great question. Now there's another question from Don Morel. I wish one day you'll do a live show. I'll come on and roast your ass on your own show, rebuttal everything you say with facts, passing people up with your narrative and your silly agenda. Tell the truth, man. Shaking my head. That's an interesting statement from Don Morel. And I'll tell you what, Don, I'm actually going to go live after the new year. And so after the new year in 2019, we're going to do live shows. We're going to do live streams. And I would love to have you on as our first guest. And I'll be sure to rebuttal everything you say, because I know for a fact we don't have narrative and we don't fanboy for any fighter. Okay, now the next question is from JN. Canelo versus Charlo. I have Canelo stopping Charlo. great question. SwissKid316. Canelo versus Udo Ramirez. Who wins? That's a great question, SwissKid. I think Saul Canelo Alvarez wins, but I think Udo Ramirez gives him all that he can handle. I think that is a huge weight advantage for Ramirez, and I think that would cause Canelo a lot of problems. I think that could also be a 50-50 fight, though. But that's a great question. The next question is from El California. Why do Floyd Jr. fans believe that Floyd can't make 160? And now I see your question is much longer than that, but I see your examples. Can I give my thoughts on this? In regards to this, I do believe that Floyd Mayweather Jr. can make 160. I believe Floyd Mayweather Jr. says and doesn't want to make 160 for the simple fact that then he's going to have to take those shots at a more fully hydrated Canelo Alvarez, in which he seriously would never want to do. And I think a lot of guys that are his fans are fanboys because they want to protect his they want to protect his record, and they want to yell and scream that he's retired, even though he comes out and says he's going to fight an active fighter, even though he says these things from his own mouth. No one's making him say it. No one's saying it for him. He says it, and then they yell and say he's retired. So, this is just a lot of fanboy stuff from these guys. Great question. The next question is from Junior Moreno. Do you believe Mikey Garcia will really retire after 3 more fights? And if he is, do you think he'll be facing any bums, or will they all be title or fan wanted fights? I think Mikey Garcia is only going to want to fight the big fights. I think he may even stay around after 3 fights. If he defeats Errol Spence, it becomes the face of boxing, because I think if Mikey Garcia defeats Errol Spence Jr., that puts him on the same level as Canelo Alvarez as far as popularity goes, because people will see that Mikey Garcia is a challenging for greatness and he's achieved it. And so if you put Mikey Garcia up there with Canelo on that same platform as being a huge pay-per-view type star, a guy who commands a huge audience presence every time he fights, I think he'll stick around for way more fights, and I think he'll only look for the big and best fights. It's a great question. The next question is for Kurt Santos. Do you think Mikey Garcia can win the Spence fight? I really think Mikey is going to hurt Spence early on and keep him from trying to rush in to hurt Mikey. That's a great question, Kurt. I believe the same thing, honestly. I believe Mikey Garcia is going to start off cautious. He's going to box Errol Spence. I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to rush in, trying to maul Mikey Garcia, and I think Mikey Garcia is going to hit him with a big right hand, slow him down, and I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to be surprised by Mikey Garcia's power. And I think that's what a lot of people are not counting on. They don't believe Mikey power is going to, translate and move up, when it's shown that every time he's moved up, it has translated. So I honestly think Errol Spence Jr. will be a little bit surprised on the night. Great question. The next question is from Boxing Monster. Why is there so much love for Al Heyman? Every boxing promoter has a dirty closet. I've noticed the new media always worships Al Heyman's move, but will criticize every little move Hearn, Oscar, and Arum makes. That's a great question, Boxing Monster, and I agree with you 100%. These guys are PBC fanboys. They love all the PBC fighters and love every move Al Heyman makes. These guys are just fanboys for this platform. These guys aren't real boxing fans, so I find it funny when guys say they're boxing fans when they look at every other promoter, every other fighter that are not on this platform and pretty much goes against them. That's what these guys are. They're not boxing fans. They're just PBC fans. And so we have to realize that we can't take these guys serious. Great question. Next question is from Donnell Cato. Why do fans say Charlo doesn't deserve a shot at Canelo but are okay with Fielding, Khan, Kirkland, Liam Smith, Chavez Jr. all getting the fight? That's an excellent question. I'd be happy to break that down for you. The same reason that Canelo Alvarez fought Miguel Cotto, same reason he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Triple G twice. The fact that Canelo Alvarez probably has the best resume of active boxers today, because he's fought more Hall of Fame level boxers and world champions than anyone else. You have to give Canelo his credit. You also have to be unbiased about the fact that Canelo Alvarez, now you have to be unbiased, just like every other fighter, it's not going to fight an elite fighter every time he fights. Look at Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s resume. He didn't fight an elite fighter every time he fought. His last real boxing match was against Andre Berto, and he was far from elite. So let's be honest and unbiased. So before we call out Canelo Alvarez's resume, let's call out Floyd's. Let's call out the Charlos. Every Charlo fight has been a bum bash. You got to call out everybody. You have to be unbiased. The fact that Canelo Alvarez has fought the best competition year in and year out, and then even guys like Liam Smith, that's a good win. This guy was a world champion, Chavez Jr. That's a good win. This is a much bigger opponent. You know, you look at Amir Khan, he's one of the best boxers in the game, and you could say he was winning the majority of, if not all of those rounds against Canelo until Canelo timed him and stopped him. So let's be honest that Canelo moved up to fight Fielding, who was a champion and who was ranked in the top 10 at 168 pounds. So a lot of guys don't give Canelo credit because he makes what's difficult look so easy. But that's a great question. Now, if you guys have any more questions, please answer our poll on Sundays. We'll be happy to do another boxing Q&A with the IBFP. Until then, please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.